Welcome to another episode of Let's Chat With. Joining me from Toronto, Canada is photographer Trevor Sherwin. How are you doing today, Trevor?
I'm fantastic. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. As I said before, you are a photographer. Why did you want to become a photographer and how did you become one?
Kind of a long-winded answer. Short answer, in high school, I did one of those aptitude tests, said you should be a photographer. At the time, I went, stupid, nope. No aspirations for that whatsoever. Got to university, was taking a business management course, desperately needed a job, got a job at a camera store and was like, oh my God, this is fun. So then I just started going from there. And then I worked in the retail side of things for the better part of about 12, 13 years. And then I started my own photography business. And then I've just been doing it ever since. And right now I specialize in boudoir, and that's what I've kind of done for the last 10 years.
Why boudoir photos? What is boudoir photo photography?
Well, short answer for boudoir is like I'm taking pictures of people in their underwear or less, but that's really not what that's about. What the genre is primarily about is just it's about empowerment. It's about reclaiming your own sexuality. It's about connecting with a partner in case of like couple sessions, and just also confronting a lot of body image issues. I guess, yeah, as I said, face value is you prancing around in your underwear or something and having somebody take pictures of you. But at the end of the day, it's really not about that. The photos are the byproduct of the experience, and the experience is something that changes how people see themselves and how people relate with themselves. And it's pretty powerful. And when I had my first client come in who asked me to do that, and I saw the results of what I could do for somebody, right then and there, it's like, aha, I'm doing that.
What was it like when you first started out doing these types of photos? What did your family and friends think?
Well, I mean, my friend group's pretty chill and open and awesome and stuff. So they were like, whatever, man. You're making people feel happy. We love you for that. So they were all great that way. My family's also pretty open that way, and I don't think there was any stigma with that or anything where somebody is like trying to make me feel like, oh, why are you doing that? There was never really any of that. So luckily I didn't have to face any of that from friends and family.
What happens during a photo session?
Oh, during a session, there's a lot that happens because it's one part photo session mixed in with another part, almost therapy session in a way. Like so, like from the moment somebody walks in the door, we've already planned out the shoot. There's a lot of pre-shoot planning that goes on with info guides and other things like wardrobe prep calls that we usually do on a video chat. But when they walk in the door, they're greeted, we chit chat for a little bit, and then we get them unpacked. We kind of see what they brought in person versus just, I've only seen it on a Zoom call previous to that. And then we get them into the glamification station, which is just basically where one of my hair and makeup artists go to town on them, and they basically do a look that we pre-discussed, and that could be anything from a very simple clean look to something more bold, and people get to see themselves, maybe the red carpet version of themselves, which I kind of get a real kick out of, because most of my clients have never really done anything as far as either having professional makeup done or seen themselves with professional makeup done. So for a lot of them, it's like a big, wow, oh my God, I can't believe this. So that's like that first little step in that boudoir experience where you're like, ooh, this is fun, because you just got pampered for an hour, and then you got to see the results of that. And then we get to the photo shoot, and a photo shoot is a ton of fun. Although I take what I do very seriously, I'm not like a clinical shooter, like move your left hand 2 centimeters up and to the left. It's never going to be like that. It's a very organic thing. It's a very fun thing. I will pose and coach people how to get the right expressions and how to get the right body language pose. And yeah, like what people find at the end of the session is like, they're like, that was way easier than I thought it was going to be. Like in their minds, when they walk in the door, they're terrified. I mean, like I've got people like who are super nervous, and by the end of it, they're high-fiving me, hugging me, just going, that was the best thing ever, and I want to do it again right now. So a shoot is a lot of fun. It's not like I could try to explain it, but everybody perceives it and feels it a little bit differently. But at the end of the day, everybody walks away feeling amazing and just feeling like they can conquer the world after that. And why I love doing these things.
How do you make someone feel comfortable when they are scared and nervous for the first time?
There's a lot of things. One, where like I've got a bunch of lame dad jokes that I use, so that's number one. The realistic stuff. Number two is like I act out most of the poses. So this person standing there in their underwear, looking at me do this pose, and she's like, well, if he can do it, I could probably do that better. And once we at the onset of the photo shoot, like I'll show them the poses, they do it, and then I'll quickly show them one or two pictures on the back of the camera, and they just, the second they see these, they're like, there is literally like this moment where they go, wait, how's that me? There's no way that that's me. And I mean, I usually will respond to that going, well, let's just do some quick Sherlock Holmes math here. I'm wearing clothes. If my assistant's there, she's wearing clothes. And the makeup artist, yeah, she's not in her underwear either. So this has to be you. But like there is that moment of realization, like, oh my God, I can actually look beautiful, because for most of my solo clients, they've never felt beautiful before. A lot of times there's always something that they could pick apart on themselves. And then when they look at some of these pictures as we start shooting, they go, wow, oh my gosh, I look so good. And how do I do this more? And then it's just from there, it's a total buy-in, and we just keep rocking. And I don't really show them as many pictures as we go, because we don't need to. Once I show them those initial 2, maybe 3 pictures, I've kind of got them hooked, and they're pretty much willing to do almost anything. And in terms of couples, I do it a little bit differently, because I will talk to the couple before we even start shooting and just find out little things about their dynamics as a couple and what they are into kind of on a sexual, sexy kind of basis. I'll basically like give them scenes to act out, and they do it, and it literally feels very natural for them, because they're focused on each other. They're not looking at the camera. They're looking at each other. So it's very easy for them to just do the thing, and then I just shoot it, and they have a blast, and they're absolutely laughing and giggling all the time. And then when they need to be serious, they're serious. And it's definitely a fun thing to see people just get more comfortable as it goes on. And it usually takes about 5, maybe 10 minutes for people to just kind of get in and commit to doing it.
What's the one thing people keep telling you as the reason for doing a photo shoot?
Ooh, man, there's a laundry list of things to do, of reasons to do this. I mean, I position my business to be like, I don't try to encourage people to do this for anyone but themselves. The one exception to that might be a bridal boudoir session where they might be doing this for their partner, for like to give them an album on a wedding day. Outside of that, I really position this experience as something that is therapeutic and something you do for you. So from a solo individual session kind of thing, could be a milestone in life. Could be like I'm turning 30, 40, 50, 60, whatever. It could be I've lost some amount of weight and I've gone and taken my health more seriously, and this is my reward. Could be I just got a new promotion and I just want to do this because. And sometimes from a couple's perspective, it's just to add a little bit extra spice into the relationship or to carry that forward. But there's a number of reasons that people will do this. And I mean, I guess the other thing that people do, because I do a lot of maternity stuff as well, obviously there's a baby coming along, so we do it for that. And it's there's just so many reasons, but ultimately I want people doing this for them. I want this experience to be about them reconnecting with themselves, seeing themselves in a positive way, and basically leveling the playing field between what they see on the magazine newsstand kind of thing and all those celebrities and what they can do. Because if they've got the same styling and pose coaching and hair and makeup and retouching and like lighting and all that kind of stuff, that playing field's totally level now. And they stop the comparisons, because the only person they need to compare against is themselves, not that person over there or that person over there. And you don't have to be a certain size or age or whatever to do something like this. It's for everybody.
What advice do you have for someone who wants to be a photographer?
Probably a little easier for me to answer my genre, only because a photographer in general, there's just so many different facets. Like it's nuts. But I mean, if you want to be a photographer today, way. You definitely have to be open and willing to say, okay, I'm going to be a little bit of my own celebrity. That's the hardest thing for me, being kind of a private person. I don't really want to put myself out on display all day. That's the one thing that I've learned is probably the hardest for me. Like, the other thing, if you're learning photography, learning the mechanics of it, like all the settings you set on the camera, that's pretty easy. But when you're working with people in front of your camera, you have to learn how to direct them. You have to give them instruction. You have to basically be this people pleaser. And if you've got this kind of natural charisma to talk to somebody and to make them feel comfortable, I think you'll make it as a kind of portrait or boudoir photographer. But then there's also this whole side of business that they will never teach you at any of the photo schools that is incredibly difficult. 10% of my time is spent taking pictures of people, and 90% of it is the other stuff. That's the hardest thing about photography. I think that's the part you need to learn more than the settings on the camera.
Will we ever see your photos in an art gallery? Have they ever been in one?
No, never been in an art gallery, hopefully. And hopefully I'm not victim of that great artist syndrome where I have to be dead before anybody knows who I am. Like you see a lot of, and that goes to the marketing aspect I was talking about earlier. If you're not doing that properly, nobody finds out about you, and you're the world's greatest secret, in a certain way. Have I done my own little mini gallery shows? Yeah, like they're kind of like in-house kind of stuff. Never been featured in any major art gallery yet.
What do you say to those who think that boudoir photos are kind of pornography?
Well, I mean, listen, everybody is totally entitled to their opinion on stuff like that, and everybody's got a different comfort level when it comes to the human body. I'm a big believer that no body is ugly or anything like that, and we do a pretty good job in our society of like shaming people into thinking that bodies are not acceptable. It's less of a thing in certain parts of the world and more of a thing in others where, bodies are more repressed, especially women's bodies. Because, I mean, I have the problem with Facebook and Instagram and TikTok where they heavily police what you can show on a female body, but that same standard does not apply to men. And it drives me absolutely crazy. And I mean, I think that is geared somewhat towards the society where the app is developed, and they have to take a stance on how much nudity is okay and play to that. Do I think it's a little aggressive? Yeah. And do I think people need to look at this as not pornography? Yeah, because I mean, I don't look at what I do as any kind of pornography. I mean, I look at it more of like as a therapeutic thing. I mean, I'm helping people reclaim their sexy, because I deal with a lot of sexual trauma with people, and for them to see themselves positively and kind of reclaim their body and the way they see themselves, that's powerful stuff. It just so happens they're not wearing much to do it. It's not porn. That's my long-winded not porn answer.
Do you remember the show Seinfeld and the episode where George Costanza gets a seductive picture of himself? As a photographer, what do you think of his photo?
Well, I have mimicked that pose on more than one occasion. There is probably a photo of me somewhere on the internet, I'm sure, just doing that exact pose. And I have names for all the poses I do, and sometimes I will name it the Costanza, especially if I feel like the person who's in front of me is like of that right age group where they're probably going to have watched Seinfeld. Yeah, it's a fun photo for sure. And I mean, although I was never a huge Seinfeld fan, I do remember watching that episode just because it was pretty funny, and it did kind of showcase that, like, hey, you can do this, guy, girl, whoever.
Finally, where can people find more information about your art, you and your art? Instagram, website, Twitter, Threads, Facebook?
Well, I mean, if you search out provocateur images, you will find me. And I mean, I'm sure you're going to have it in the show notes and stuff, but Instagram is always a good spot. My website's probably even a little bit better than that, because it will have the full range of things, where Instagram, I have to be incredibly careful with what I post, because even the most vanilla stuff sometimes gets flagged by Meta's bots. There's lots of places to find me, but if you just search that, you will find me.
Well, thank you, Trevor, for joining me on this episode of Let's Chat With.
Thanks for having me. That was fun.